Imagine this. You're in a meeting, presenting a groundbreaking medical initiative you've worked on for months. You know it's backed by strong science and has the potential to significantly impact patient outcomes. But when you finish, the room is quiet. The enthusiasm you expected from your stakeholders just isn't there. You've communicated the science, but somewhere the business value didn't come through. And that's the difference between getting support for your initiative or watching it stall. This scenario plays out more often than we'd like to admit in medical affairs. We're experts in scientific communication, but translating that science into strategic, business-driven conversations is something many of us struggle with. That's why today's tutorial is all about bridging that gap. In this session, we'll explore how business communication has evolved and why the traditional methods we used to rely on are no longer enough. You'll learn not just how to communicate, but how to do it with impact. Whether you're presenting to senior management, engaging with cross-functional teams, or connecting with external stakeholders. Here's what you can expect to gain from this tutorial. First, we'll explore why modern business communication is fundamentally different today compared to just a few years ago. We'll dive into the unique challenges we face in medical affairs, especially around personal branding and positioning our work in a way that demonstrates its strategic value. You'll learn how social media and emerging technologies have transformed the way we communicate and what you need to do to stay ahead in this fast-paced environment. We'll also cover the strategic elements of communication, focusing on how to make sure every message you deliver is aligned with business impact. And finally, we'll introduce storytelling techniques like spar stories and elevator-style pitches, which will help you communicate the value of your medical initiatives with clarity and precision. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have practical tools and strategies to elevate your communication skills, ensuring that your voice is heard and that the value of your work is recognized at every level of your organization. Today's business communication is far more complex than it used to be. In the past, we could focus solely on exchanging information clearly and concisely. We simply had to make sure that the right information was delivered to the right person in a timely manner. But now, the communication landscape has shifted dramatically. It's no longer just about sharing data or completing a task. It's about making an impact, building relationships, and driving decisions. This shift has been driven by several factors. First, we have a wider variety of stakeholders to engage with, each expecting tailored communication that resonates with their specific needs. Whether it's cross-functional teams, senior leadership, or external partners, we're no longer speaking to one audience in a uniform way. In addition to that, the sheer pace of business has accelerated. Information moves faster than ever before, and expectations for quick, impactful responses have risen. This puts pressure on us to not just deliver information, but to craft messages that are thoughtful, strategic, and instantly relevant. Communication needs to connect on a personal level while aligning with broader business goals. Furthermore, the ways we communicate have evolved with technology. Digital tools, remote working, and social media have blurred the lines between formal and informal communication. We are now engaging in real-time conversations across multiple platforms. And this means that how we communicate, the tone, the structure, the medium, must constantly adapt to fit these new realities. This evolution is what makes modern business communication so different from what we once knew. It's a multidimensional skill that requires both strategic thinking and emotional intelligence. It's about building trust, persuading stakeholders, and shaping decisions in a much more dynamic environment. Another significant change in modern communication comes from the rise of social media and advanced technologies. These tools have fundamentally reshaped the way we engage with our audiences, both internally and externally. In the past, business communication might have been limited to email, meetings, or formal reports. Today, it's much more immediate and interactive. Social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and even Instagram have become critical tools for professionals in medical affairs. They allow us to engage in real-time conversations, share insights, and build our professional presence on a global scale. But with this increased access comes the need for more agile communication skills. We need to be able to craft messages that work within the constraints of these platforms while maintaining professionalism and strategic intent. For instance, we might find ourselves needing to engage with stakeholders across different platforms, each with its own style and audience expectations. A LinkedIn post might require a different tone and structure compared to a message shared on Twitter or during a digital conference. Adapting to these different formats requires not only agility, but also an understanding of how to engage an audience effectively across multiple channels. Another factor is the rise of virtual meetings and remote working, which have become the norm in many organizations. Communicating effectively in a virtual environment presents its own set of challenges, particularly when it comes to building relationships, reading nonverbal cues, and ensuring that your message resonates in a digital space. Technology also allows for more visual and interactive forms of communication. We can now leverage tools like infographics, video presentations, and real-time polls to enhance our communication efforts. But with this opportunity comes the need to be more creative and strategic in how we present our messages. It's not just about the content, but about how we package that content in ways that engage and influence our audience. In this modern landscape, communication is no longer static or one-dimensional. It's fluid, fast-paced, and multifaceted. And it requires us to constantly evolve our approach to ensure we're connecting with our audience in meaningful, impactful ways. Now, when we look at medical affairs specifically, we face a unique challenge. As scientists and healthcare professionals, we are often trained extensively in scientific communication. We know how to speak the language of data, evidence, and clinical outcomes. But business communication is an entirely different skill set, and one that many of us haven't been formally trained in. Think about it. We've spent years mastering the ability to communicate complex scientific information to KOLs, healthcare professionals, and regulatory bodies. But what happens when we need to advocate for the value of our initiatives to internal stakeholders like commercial teams or senior leadership? This is where the gap often lies. We aren't trained to build our personal brand or to sell the business value of our medical initiatives. This lack of training can leave us struggling when it comes to positioning ourselves as strategic leaders within our organizations. We might have groundbreaking insights or initiatives, but if we can't communicate the business impact of our work effectively, we risk being overlooked or undervalued. And it's not just about individual success, it's about ensuring that the full value of our medical strategies is understood and acted upon. In today's fast-paced business environment, we need to do more than simply report on our activities. We need to demonstrate the strategic relevance of everything we do, whether it's a medical plan, a KOL engagement strategy, or a research initiative. We need to position ourselves as thought leaders who can communicate in ways that align with the broader organizational goals, and that requires a new set of communication skills. We also need to think about how we communicate our achievements. It's not just about sharing data points or clinical outcomes, but about framing those achievements in a way that clearly conveys their business value. This could be anything from how a particular initiative helps to differentiate our product in the market, to how it directly improves patient outcomes and, in turn, supports market access. In medical affairs, communication is no longer just a soft skill. It's a business-critical capability. If we want to succeed in this environment, we must become comfortable with selling the value of what we do, not just within the medical space, but across the entire organization. As we move deeper into the idea of modern business communication, it's essential to focus on its strategic component. Communication, when done effectively, is not just about information exchange. It's a powerful tool that drives action, influences decisions, and creates business impact. In medical affairs, everything we do must be tied back to a broader strategic goal. Whether we're discussing medical insights, launching initiatives, or building KOL relationships, the way we communicate can significantly influence how our work is perceived and how much value is attributed to it. Think of each interaction, whether it's a presentation to a leadership team or a discussion with cross-functional colleagues, as an opportunity to demonstrate the business relevance of what we do. Our communication should always be forward-thinking, positioning not only what we've accomplished, but also the broader impact of those achievements. For example, when we present the outcomes of a medical initiative, it's not enough to simply state the clinical results. We need to link those results to key business objectives. How does this initiative improve patient outcomes in a way that supports market access or strengthens the product's differentiation in the marketplace? How does it enhance our company's overall strategic position? This is where we need to shift our mindset. Communication becomes less about simply providing updates and more about crafting a narrative that shows how our work aligns with the organization's broader goals. Every time we speak, we need to ask ourselves, how does this message drive impact? A strategic communication approach means we're always thinking about the so what behind every data point, every insight, and every initiative we share. And when we communicate in this way, we position ourselves not just as contributors, but as key strategic players driving the organization forward. Now, one of the most powerful tools we can use in business communication is storytelling. But not just any storytelling, strategic storytelling. In medical affairs, we often deal with complex, data-driven narratives, which can be difficult to communicate in a way that truly resonates. That's where frameworks like SPAR come in handy. SPAR, which stands for Situation, Problem, Action, and Result, is a structured way to communicate that takes your audience through the journey of your work. It allows you to present information in a compelling narrative, while also ensuring that the strategic impact is clear at every stage. Let's break it down. Situation. Start by outlining the context or challenge you were facing. This sets the stage for why your work was necessary. Problem. Clearly define the problem you were trying to solve. This helps your audience understand the relevance of your initiative. Action. Explain the steps you took to address the problem. This is where you showcase your strategic thinking and decision-making. Result. Finally, present the outcomes. But don't just stop at the results. Highlight how these results impacted the business or supported key organizational goals. By using the SPAR framework, we're able to take complex medical initiatives and present them in a way that's easy to understand, but also strategically aligned with the company's objectives. Now let's talk about elevator pitches. Imagine you have just 30 seconds to communicate the value of your work to a senior executive or key stakeholder. How do you make an impact in such a short time? That's where mastering elevator-style communication is key. Elevator pitches force us to be concise, focused, and direct. In just a few sentences, we need to clearly articulate what we've done, why it matters, and what the next steps are. This is a critical skill for anyone in medical affairs, especially when we're trying to showcase the business impact of our initiatives in high-pressure or time-constrained situations. The key here is to always lead with impact. Instead of diving straight into the details, start by framing the value. How does this initiative move the needle? Once you've established that, you can provide the necessary supporting information. By doing so, you ensure that even in a short interaction, your audience understands the relevance and importance of your work. In both sparse stories and elevator pitches, the focus is always on connecting what we do to the larger business objectives. This way, we're not just presenting information. We're telling a story that demonstrates strategic value and business impact. Let's consider a scenario where a medical manager has led an educational campaign on a new oncology treatment aimed at increasing awareness among healthcare professionals and improving patient outcomes. Now, they need to communicate the success of this campaign to senior leadership using the SPAR framework. Situation: the oncology team identified a gap in understanding among healthcare professionals regarding the benefits and application of a newly approved treatment for advanced stage cancer. This treatment had demonstrated significant improvements in progression-free survival, but uptake in clinical practice was slower than expected due to a lack of comprehensive education. Problem healthcare professionals were hesitant to adopt the new treatment because they were uncertain about its appropriate use, side effect management, and the patient populations that would benefit the most. This lack of awareness was leading to missed opportunities for better patient outcomes and slower integration of the treatment into clinical practice. Action: in response to this, the medical affairs team launched a targeted educational campaign, which included a series of webinars, expert panel discussions, and one-on-one KOL engagements. The content was focused on the clinical benefits of the treatment, real-world case studies, and expert guidance on patient selection and management. The team also developed educational materials that were distributed across multiple platforms, ensuring broad reach and accessibility. Result: within 6 months of the campaign's launch, awareness and understanding of the treatment among healthcare professionals increased significantly, as demonstrated by post-campaign surveys showing a 40% increase in knowledge and confidence in prescribing the new therapy. Furthermore, real-world data indicated a 25% rise in the adoption of the treatment across oncology centers, contributing to improved patient outcomes and solidifying the product's position in the market. This success also generated interest from other regions to replicate the campaign, demonstrating its strategic value beyond immediate goals. Please note the language we used in this case study to ensure 100% compliance with medical affairs ethical principles. For example, we said 40% increase in knowledge and confidence in prescribing the new therapy. We did not state that there was an increase in prescribing the new therapy directly. Similarly, when we referred to the 25% increase in the adoption of the treatment across oncology centers, this was based on real-world data derived from electronic health records, which ensures the metric is properly generalized and supported by validated sources. This careful use of language aligns with ethical guidelines and ensures accurate representation of the data. Now, let's imagine the same medical manager needs to communicate the success of the campaign, but this time they only have a short window, perhaps in an elevator ride with a senior executive. Here's how they would approach it using an elevator pitch. Over the past 6 months, our oncology team launched an educational campaign to address a critical gap in healthcare professionals' understanding of our newly approved cancer treatment. By conducting targeted webinars and engaging KOLs directly, we increased awareness and confidence in prescribing the treatment by 40%. This effort led to a 25% increase in the treatment's adoption, improving patient outcomes and positioning our product as a market leader. We've even seen interest from other regions in replicating the campaign, showing its broader strategic impact. When it comes to showcasing the impact of medical initiatives, it's important to understand that leadership teams are not just looking for numbers. The value of medical affairs initiatives isn't determined by how many people attended a webinar or how many educational materials were distributed. What really matters, and what captures the attention of leadership, is how these initiatives drive meaningful outcomes in one of two key dimensions: strategic impact or healthcare and patient outcomes. When we communicate the success of an initiative, we need to focus on how it aligns with the organization's broader strategic goals. Did the initiative support product differentiation in a crowded market? Did it help expand access to treatment options? These are the types of questions that leadership teams are interested in. Strategic impact goes beyond surface-level metrics. It's about positioning the organization for long-term success in a competitive landscape. For example, if your initiative led to the adoption of new treatment guidelines that favor your product, or if it strengthened key KOL relationships that will help drive future research collaborations, these are powerful messages that align with strategic objectives. The second dimension we should highlight is the impact on healthcare and patient outcomes. This is where we move beyond the business side and demonstrate the tangible difference our work makes in the real world. Did the educational initiative lead to improved prescribing practices that benefited patients? Did it enhance the knowledge of healthcare professionals in a way that directly influenced clinical decision-making? For instance, if post-initiative data shows that physicians are now more confident in prescribing a new treatment, leading to better patient adherence or faster diagnoses, this is an outcome that resonates with both medical and business leadership. When we talk about the impact of medical initiatives, we need to shift the focus from basic participation metrics to these two critical areas: strategy and healthcare outcomes. It's not about how many people attended the event. It's about what changed because of it. Leadership teams want to hear how the initiative contributed to advancing the company's position in the market or how it improved the standard of care for patients. This is the true value of our work, and this is where our communication should always lead. By concentrating on these dimensions, we're able to present our initiatives not just as successful activities, but as impactful contributions that align with broader business objectives and deliver tangible benefits to healthcare systems and patient care. When we think about the types of medical initiatives we engage in, it's essential to focus on how we communicate their impact, whether that's on the strategic level or directly related to healthcare and patient outcomes. Let's look at a few examples and examine the expected impact of each one. One example is an educational webinar series focused on advances in oncology treatment. The goal here is not just to inform, but to influence both practice and perception. Strategically, this initiative aims to position our treatment as a key option for oncologists, potentially increasing its market share. But the healthcare impact is just as important. By improving healthcare professionals' understanding of the new treatment, we expect to see better prescribing practices that ultimately lead to enhanced patient outcomes, such as prolonged survival or reduced side effects. Next, consider a real-world data study designed to validate the efficacy of a treatment beyond controlled clinical trials. The primary impact here lies in healthcare outcomes. Real-world evidence helps demonstrate the effectiveness of the treatment across diverse patient populations, giving healthcare professionals more confidence in its use. This could lead to its broader adoption in clinical practice, contributing to better patient care and outcomes, an impact that goes beyond the walls of our organization and into the lives of patients. Then there's the value of hosting advisory board meetings with key opinion leaders, KOLs. These meetings play a strategic role, offering insights that can influence future development strategies and helping us position the product competitively in the market. But it's not just about strategy. Building strong relationships with KOLs means they can advocate for the treatment in their networks and at key medical conferences, helping drive the uptake of the treatment in clinical settings. Another important initiative is collaborating with patient advocacy groups to raise awareness about a particular disease. The impact here is largely on healthcare outcomes. By working with advocacy groups, we aim to increase early diagnosis and improve patient education. This can have a direct effect on patient adherence to treatment, leading to better long-term health outcomes. More informed patients also tend to have better discussions with their healthcare providers, which can positively influence their overall treatment experience. Finally, take the development of educational materials for healthcare professionals that focus on drug safety. The strategic impact here is in strengthening the product's positioning by highlighting its safety profile, which may increase its adoption by clinicians. But equally important is the healthcare impact. Providing clear, accessible information on drug safety can reduce the incidence of medication errors and adverse events, directly improving patient safety and the quality of care they receive. In each of these cases, the real value of the initiative isn't in the number of attendees or the amount of content produced. What matters is how these initiatives impact the broader strategy or improve patient outcomes. Whether we're driving market access, fostering relationships with key influencers, or directly enhancing patient care, our communication should always focus on these critical dimensions. That's how we showcase the true value of our work in medical affairs. As we wrap up this tutorial, it's clear that effective business communication in medical affairs has evolved beyond simply delivering messages. Today, our success hinges on our ability to communicate strategically and with impact, ensuring that the value of our medical initiatives is fully understood and appreciated by both internal and external stakeholders. We began by exploring why traditional communication methods are no longer enough in today's fast-paced, tech-driven landscape. We then examined how modern business communication is essential for medical affairs, particularly in positioning ourselves and our initiatives as vital to the organization's strategic success. Along the way, we've highlighted how social media and technology have shifted the way we engage, requiring more agility and responsiveness in our communication efforts. We also discussed the importance of focusing on the strategic impact and healthcare outcomes of our initiatives, rather than getting lost in surface-level metrics like participation numbers. Whether you're using frameworks like SPAR to tell a detailed story or delivering a concise elevator pitch to make a quick, impactful point, the message remains the same. We must always lead with the value our initiatives bring, either to the company's strategic objectives or to improving healthcare and patient outcomes. Through the various case studies, we've seen that showcasing the impact of our work requires careful attention to the language we use, always ensuring full compliance with ethical standards, while emphasizing real-world data and tangible results. Each initiative we undertake, whether an educational campaign, real-world data study, or patient advocacy collaboration, carries the potential to drive meaningful change, and it's our job to make sure that change is communicated effectively. By mastering these skills, strategic storytelling, focused messaging, and clear impact framing, you'll be better equipped to influence decisions, drive organizational support, and demonstrate the true value of medical affairs. Effective communication is no longer just a nice to have. It's a business-critical capability that allows us to lead, inspire, and make a lasting impact in healthcare. Thank you for your attention, and I encourage you to take these strategies forward in your own communication, ensuring that the value of your work is always clear, impactful, and aligned with the broader goals of your organization.